Is our reality a quantum hologram? What if the truth about life after death lies waiting to be discovered in the basement of a haunted house? Are we connected to galactic civilization? I lie awake at night thinking about these things. I never miss an opportunity to ask bigger questions. Sky, a lot of people are following you on YouTube, and a lot of people have been asking you some questions. Let's start with, what is a light worker?
Well, I'm learning that it means something different to everybody, and I learned that I was a light worker because I had my memory restored to me about being taken from a timeline that I was on when I was a little girl to this timeline that we're on now. And I was taken by the alien nurses, what they identified themselves to be alien nurses. And they brought us to this timeline because this timeline was going to be going through a series of events. And they needed the energy of a light worker to transfer this information to the planet. So that was my first way I found out. And then the second way I found out was after I met the light beings, which is another question I'll talk about, the second way I found out is you get a part of your Akashic memory restored to you. So you just start having memories of things that happen on the planet. And then you start to get an upgrade of who you are as a person. You want to become more away from the old paradigm of life, and you want to become more into your oneness with everybody else. And you just naturally start becoming that way. That's one way you start to find out. People start to find out in general, but I had found out because I realized through meeting the light beings and through a profound spiritual experience that we were just all one. So when you're a light worker, you get informed of that on all levels, and usually you're taken out of your body and everything's done in the ethereal. And you realize that everything operates on the ethereal, and it operates, even our government operates on the ethereal. So that's why we've been brought here to this timeline to inform people that most things, by the time you see it out here, it's already something past that our government usually has control over. And so we come here to just inform people of the severity of that. A light worker gets ignited so many ways. They just start like everybody's waking up on the planet. But that was my personal experience going through the timeline, and then the Akashic memory. And then the other was, and I wrote this down because everybody asked me to. Also you find out you're light worker because you have these abilities. You find out at certain times you go to the ethereal and you're able to do certain things in the ethereal that you either have an assignment to do, or you just you're on a mission to do, and you know that you have to do it. So some of those things, like some of the light beings, like some light workers, and I know, because I know the people that are watching this probably have this experience. They take your body. You learn everything about the mystery schools if you're a light worker. And so one of those things is you're able to transport your body into a Merkaba. And then this Merkaba is able to, like the rulers of this planet, they have assignments for everybody. And so light workers are assigned things. There's a lot of scientists on the planet that are light workers, and they're ignited really deep right now. And they're getting coded in their dreams on how to do things. So scientists and astronomers.
What is life like for a light worker in a day-to-day basis? I mean, what do you guys do?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So you have to devote yourself to the planet. You have to live a certain way. You have to try to, you're not into the paradigm. You're not into the matrix. You've transported yourself outside of the matrix because you've had an experience, and you participate outside of the matrix, and you train people to be out of the matrix. You educate them on the medicines that we are being subject to, and then you educate people on the grid lines, the government, the reptilian invasion. You educate people on what's going to happen with our galactic family, and because we're contacted either by other people from other planets or the guardians of the planet, like, because there's a transfer, there's a whole theme that's going on in the galactic to get planet Earth rid of these negative energies that are on our planet right now.
So as a light worker, first you're ignited through a transformational experience, and then you have a certain heightened sense of reality, and you're able to operate in part consciously outside of what we would call the restrictions of physical reality, or the matrix, the way it operates here in this physical reality.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And you use these abilities to help the forces of highest and best good to have a greater influence on the planet and on individuals.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of us are being called to do this right now. A lot of us are being transported from other places to work and do this stuff. And it's coming from every channel. There's going to be a lot of things that are changing now.
So let's talk about outside the matrix.
Tied into that, a lot of people ask me, like, what's the difference between a light worker and then the people that are on the embassy? Like, a lot of people can be a light worker on Earth, or they can be, it's all done in the ethereal. You can be met in the ethereal and told that you're a light worker, or you get downloaded that you're from the embassy, and planet Earth has an embassy, and we get information. We have to give it to you, and we have to give you information whether it's good or bad. So we're allowed, once you get on the embassy, and from what I know, you can only be on the embassy after you've left the matrix, you've worked on all your spiritual stuff, you've cleansed all your chakra systems, you've become one with everything. You know you're one with this, with this, with this. You know you're part of it. And then you leave the matrix, you're outside of the matrix, you're outside of your timelines. And then once you've conquered that, you understand that these reptilian forces and all these things and all these designs and all these craziness that's going on the planet is like a design, and everybody's part of this thing, kind of like, I think, your book. Everybody's kind of like part of this thing, and then once they step outside of the matrix, they realize everybody's playing this part, and then they get outside of the part, and then you realize that you have a little bit more control that you thought. And then when you're on the embassy, you learn that you're in the matrix, and then you also learn that you have to report to Earth on what's going on. And so you go outside and you learn, and you see the portholes, and you see the dark as much as you see the light. That's how I knew the information about New York City, and believing that was the porthole for all of the reptilians on all the worlds that come there. That's why I believe that was going to happen. That's why I believe that happened there, because there's a lot of meanings there. And light workers, like light workers, but people on the embassy will take you outside of the matrix, and you can see that stuff. That's the only way you can see it, is you're taken outside of the matrix. Otherwise, you're in danger, because you get taken into, like, there's like a secret society. Like, there's so much stuff that goes on in the astral, and most of our government and the ETs are operating in the ethereal, and they have to have equal light workers to participate, because we live in a yin and a yang world. We operate on both levels, and it's very hard to explain, but that's what Gaia, the planet we live on, does. So we're able to see this stuff, and once you get outside of the matrix, then you can see what these guys are doing inside of the matrix, and then you understand the whole thing. So, and when you're on the embassy, you have to report to other planets. It's not just Earth. This is other, like, we have to go back to God. So we have to prepare for that. That's how you do it.
Now, when you talk about being on the embassy, tell us a little bit about some of your actual personal experiences since first tell us about the revelation that brought you to the understanding that you have now?
Because I
about
met the
who you
light
are?
beings. I have, in the Indian religion, they would call it a Kundalini experience. And then that happened through a spiritual breakdown that I had. And then I think after that...
Because you were going through some really serious personal stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
And at a very low point in your life as far as your happiness. And then this happened to you.
Then I met the light beings. I met the light beings. Yeah, right, exactly. When I learned that the United States of America, well, not just the United States of America, that there was technology on our planet that had the ability to take over people's minds through MK Ultra and through the music scene, through our government, through artificial intelligence. When you find that out, and then my daughter was part of that. I saw that she was becoming a victim of this technology that was able to almost control the energy around her, and I learned a lot about it. And then I met the light beings, and the light beings talked about all this stuff and started to teach me all this stuff about the matrix. They tried to teach me all this stuff about getting outside the matrix, and then I learned about my daughter. And then through this experience, through being like in this crazy hell for 3 days of just not being, I was in this kind of hell, not being able to reach my soul. My soul was being taken, and I came back as if I were a different person, completely downloaded with everything outside of the matrix that I needed to know. And then I met the light beings that described that we're from Source, from Mother, Father, God, that they were introducing themselves to a lot of people on the planet right now in whatever form that they needed to be introduced to, that a form that they would understand. And at first they were going to come in physical form, but I said, don't do that. So then we made agreement, and that's when it became a kinetic thing, because they can only meet you and connect with you if you've done your inner work, because it's really nothing external. And if it's external, it's something different. It comes from internal. It's an internal thing. And so if you have it in here, then it appears out here. It's a difference than something out here. Out here is part of the matrix. It's part of the biblical Illuminati script. In here is the whole different thing.
So for people that maybe still don't quite understand, what is the difference between 3D physical reality, the Earth, and the Matrix?
Well,
because you're outside of the Matrix, but you're sitting here with me. So if the
but
Matrix
the only
is
way
like
that
a
I'm
simulation,
operating here is because we have ethereal bodies before we have this body, and by the time everything is here, we're in our past. And so we operate out here, and this is where the government understands this, and they know this, and this is where they manipulate us out here. So this is why prayer and meditation is really important in connecting with our thoughts.
So you're engaged here in the Matrix, but you're consciously aware of operating outside of the illusion.
Right, but you literally transport timelines when you change your thoughts. You keep raising your level outside of the Matrix. You literally walk out of the Matrix somewhere you become Christ-like or whatever, Buddha-like or Krishna-like, or get away from the paradigm, the old paradigm, the Matrix, the television, all that. When you can get away from being inside the paradigm, then you realize that there's an outer source, an outer thing that's happening. And that's how you do it. And then you realize outside of the Matrix, that's where everybody else is operating. There's going to this other dimension that people are talking about, the ascension. That's an internal thing first. You don't go just get taken away. Once you get outside of the Matrix, and we literally operate on a universal mind. And when you're outside of this whole theme, this paradigm that we've created, this illusion that we live in, run by the Draco system, starting with our voting thing, you understand that we are working on this universal mind. You know, the universal mind, and you don't violate each other's boundaries. It's all a beauty. You're perfectly in sync with the universe. The plants, the water, what you need, your people you love, your everything, and it's eternal. that's, God's creation was beautiful and eternal, and we've been raped here by the reptilian force, and that's why light workers are coming to this planet in this timeline to do this. And they said to talk about the timelines. So the timelines, there's these 4 different timelines that we're operating on. The Luciferians, sometimes they have control of these timelines. So that's why we're on these timelines, to help it out. There's a timeline that didn't make it. There's a timeline that does make it. There's a timeline that's right in the middle. And there's a couple other things going on.
So this whole idea of major possibilities for change all exists somewhere in a
right. There's a timeline that we've already failed, and we've already lost this planet. This time that we're on, the timeline that we are on, that I was brought to, I was taken off a good timeline. The timeline that we're brought to, where you and I exist right now, this is a timeline that is a collective consciousness timeline. We live on the timeline. We're in control. You and I are in control, literally, of what Gaia does. She wants a collective, unified consciousness, and that is why these reptilians and these governments have taken over our matrix, and they're starting to do transhumanism and turn this artificial intelligence around a planet into just controlled into a mimic God. They want to mimic God so that they can take everything over, away from our human self and who we are, and they do it through television and microwaves and these ridiculous competition shows on television, and they keep you inside of the television, inside of thought that we're separate, that I'm here, that you're over there, that you're separate from the animal, that you're separate from this table. And so that's what they do with the grid lines and the matrix and the whole thought system. And that's how that works. So that's going to be changed. That's what we're here to do, to change it, to help change it and to educate people about it.
So let's talk a moment about the light beings and what they are and how they appear to you. Now, I know that there's people out there that are certainly going to say, well, wait a minute, she's just hearing things in her head, or it's an illusion. But you've even asked yourself that question, and you've explored it, and you've really had to come to grips with what you're saying is really, really happening. So what are the light beings? Are they angelic? Are they ethereal? Are they anything that we identify with now? And how do you interact with them?
That's a good question. They are the intelligence that runs the universe, that meets you once you reach a certain level. They not only give me downloads, it's in a kinetic connection where I actually get taps on my face and my nose. So I know that I'm getting transferred information. And they transfer information into your head. And they give information, and the only way that I know that they can confirm that is I have to have a physical touch as well. So, and they're doing it in ways that only the person will understand, because they told me that we're coming, and I made an agreement that that's what I would allow, that I knew that was them, and that I could allow the touching of the nose, and they did it. And when I start to deny it, I'll be like driving a couple times a year. I'll start to deny it, and I'll be driving, and then they'll just start giving me information and touching my nose and flicking, and I'm like, okay, whoa, I can't deny this anymore, and I have to start listening. They give you a training process of what's going on, and they teach you about yourself, and first they're like, calm down, or, they just kind of like teach you things, and they teach you how to work with the public and how to teach the public, and then they take you on a journey and what you need to learn and what not to learn, and it's a process, and they just work with you on it, and the more that I go and open, the more that I'm taught and downloaded immediately information that I need to know, whatever's happening on the planet, and it's a lot of us.
Talk a little bit about where they're coming from. A lot of people will say, well, if you think you're speaking to your guides, but they're coming from a place of ego, or they're supporting anger, or they're enabling you in any way to do anything that is outside of pure love, then you may be being deceived. But you're not having that experience.
No, because you can't get any of this information unless you've gone before Mother, Father, God, and you've met the light beings, and you've gone through the ascended masters. It's like a whole process, and you know it internally too.
Now, is the Ascended Master memes true? That the hierarchy, the Ascended Masters taking over different elements of running the universe, almost like a galactic corporation?
Yeah, it's all hierarchy, like the gods, because you can't. Like, we used to live with the gods a long time ago. It was beautiful, actually. It's hard to think of that way, but that's how we did it. And the gods would either garden, or they really knew how to work with mankind. They work with gardens. It was like more of a. It was more like a god of the planet that we were part of. We were all a universal part of everything. We were part of it. We understood everything.
And how did we lose that?
Well, we got invaded. This planet's been invaded. But it's nothing that no soul hasn't chosen to go through. We've all chosen to go outside of the paradigm and do this. So each soul is finding its way back. And every time that you clear something within your soul, your body, your own personal body, a reptilian's deleted, because the reptilian in essence is part of your negative thought that you've put out there somewhere in the cosmos that actually turned into something tangible as well. And then they feed off your negative, they feed off of your negative force. So we have a lot to do with healing our own system, because we really are in control of the outer as well as the inner through our, when we heal ourselves, it goes out to the cosmos and everything gets healed,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so let's just go through a couple of questions. Have you ever actually physically seen or met an alien or a hybrid?
Yeah. Well, I did. I believe that I did, and I was later told that I did in a seminar. But well, yeah, I know I did, because I was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and I met my first alien there, and I worked there, and well, obviously, because I'm a light worker, so that's probably, I was on assignment there. I was meant to meet that alien there, and he was a tall way, abnormally tall. He was able to transmit his thoughts through telepathy. And that's why I knew that he was not from this planet, and I was able to hear him. He had expressed his great hatred for humanity in a deep way. They looked at us very odd. And then I will tell you that I was taught through the light beings that there was a porthole there, and there was a porthole where they have access, the whites, grays, or no, they're not grays. That's not, I was taught they were white, tall whites. Because that's what he looked like. If I were to, I don't know them, but that's how I would describe him. Because he's very, very, very tall, and dark hair, and he had very long hands, and you speak through the mind. And then they were able to. I heard that they had a base underneath there. They have a base under. We're taught that they have a base underneath there because there's a Dark Lord that runs the planet that goes through the White House and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And I believe when I worked at Defense Electronics Supply Center, I believe it was transferred through there, because you can feel the energy, and the Vatican. And I've been to all three, and you can read it. And just being a light worker, that's where I'm sent. Because you can when you're a light worker, you can smell the hybrids on the planet. They have their programs. They have their programs, and they've created a lot of people on this planet who are not just human beings. So a light worker can almost detect their energy, and then when you go there, you're able to just understand that.
So, the thing about Wright-Patterson, that's a whole other discussion. We'll save it for another time, because you've told me some very explosive things about that if verifiable, could really blow the lid off some stuff. But let's move on to, so we're talking about, Sky, there's other timelines, and they've succeeded or failed at various levels of overcoming similar or the same challenges. How have some of the other timelines fared?
That's good. This is what we did this is what we're going to need to do here. This is what they're guiding us to do. This is very hard, but this is what we did on the other timeline, and we did succeed. So we were informed. Everybody was evolved in these timelines. We weren't defeated as much as we are now. So we had information to our telepathic centers a lot better. So we were informed through telepathy that our galactic family was going to be coming in and help us out and reading these people from the planet. Now this is happening here on this timeline, and but not everybody's informed. It's so hard to wake everybody up. Everybody's really programmed. So what they're doing here is they're contacting us and letting us know what they did. And one thing is they say the voting here is not, this voting comes from the Draco reptilian system, and the voting is not, they make people believe there's a right and the left wing there. And one thing they did, they got rid of all of the voting. That has to be completely gone. The grid lines have to be gone. The leaders have to be gone. What they did is the people stopped participating. Everybody stopped participating. They were a evolved society. But is that going to happen here? It's going to be a little harder. But this is going to be a lot harder than the other timelines. But this is the information that we're bringing here. So we're trying to educate people as fast as we can to get outside of the matrix, stop voting, stop participating, get educated about the profound symbolism that is happening everywhere you go and how it pulls you back into the matrix and makes you think there's a right and a left wing, and you're actually voting for anything that's outside of Satanism, because that's not real. It's all a paradigm that's in Satanism. Every church, everything. The churches and a lot of the courthouses are all on grid lines that are run under a reptilian Draco system, feeding us negative energy, reptilian energy all day long, and serving us in a negative way. And we have no idea. Unless you're outside the matrix, unless you've been awake, unless you just don't buy it and you understand it, and there's nothing they can do to you. You don't get sick. You don't get these crazy things that happen in your life. You're not taken over. The planet's not taken over. And we became one, and I'm hoping, and I know that we're going to evolve to that. That's what I'm here for. That's what they brought us here for. But it takes a lot. It's going to be a lot of. It's not going to be like the other timeline. There's a lot of work to do here. So that's what we're doing. We get made fun of a lot. We come here, we get taught, we talk to people. They think it's absolutely crazy. But then when you've left your body and you've looked at the planet and you've looked at the government being controlled by reptilians, and you see the reality of it, and you see the reality of our children being traded for it, given to these alien races, and they think that they're giving it to a government organization. It's all a scam. The whole government's a scam, and people are wasting their time. And what we're doing as light workers, and what God's doing is Mother, Father, God is sending out a signal through the sun, through the DNA, through your spiritual happenings. Gaia is allowing things that, even the Archon network, where things are like coming in and working out of your body quick. So like the people that are not meant to be in your life, they'll be out of your life, and the people you're meant to be with, you link up with a lot faster, and everything like goes out of your system a lot quicker, because God and Gaia has sent out this signal. So people are reaching and connecting with that signal, and they're bringing it in faster. So that's how we're transforming ourselves. It's an individual thing. Like, you can't go run somewhere and do something. It's an individual thing. And each person individually gets guided. So that's what happens. And it is happening. Like, more and more people are really interested in it.
So Sky, I think that after reviewing some of the questions that come to your YouTube channels and to your videos, the one that keeps purveying, and I don't know if people are being funny or if they're really wondering, but one that you hear a lot is quite simply, are you on drugs?
I'm not on drugs. I don't like them. I can't take them. My body can't handle it. But that's what the mind does. It cannot handle this information, because there's a right brain and a left brain. That is the natural reaction, is to think that it's a drug thing, because there's a right brain and a left brain, and a lot of people that are on this time path, they are able to only see things with their left brain so far. Their right brain's not ignited yet. So it's really easy for them to logically go, is that girl on drugs or those light workers on drugs, that's crazy
Well, they look
stuff.
for like a rational thing,
Right,
because
they
the information
can't
is so out
see
there.
it. The brain hasn't been ignited yet. You have to realize you have not been ignited yet. And once you're ignited, you physically, tangibly hear it and see it and bring it into your reality. So, that's usually the reaction.
What would you say to your fellow light workers that are out there that have been ignited and are facing the challenges that light workers face and having the experiences that light workers have?
It's hard for some of us. We get attacked a lot. We get psychic attacks. That's why I always wear my amethyst with me. We pray a lot and to stay strong and to never give up, But we know that we're really, most light workers that have been to this, like we've had a horrible life. We've learned how to deal with it. We've been treated. We've been healed. We've been outside of the matrix. We've restored ourselves. We've been back ignited, and we've come back in the body. So we kind of understand how to deal with it and how to get outside and to reboot ourselves. And we just remind each other of that when we're here. That's why we all watch each other's channel and help each other out as best as we can and learn and grow as we go.
I think you've answered a lot of questions for a lot of people. I think it's awesome that you took some time. And I'm sure that your subscribers and your friends out there are going to be very grateful to see this video and experience you on a different level.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show, your station. It's awesome. Thank you.